Only 4 players have won the World Match Play Championship 2 times in a row, and Ernie Ells is one of them. This year, though, the South African has the chance to be the first to lift the trophy 3 times in a row. Welcome to the West Coast Wentworth, which for the 33rd time is host to this famous event, the Toyota World Match Play Championship. Once again, we're in England, in the home counties, just on the southwestern side of London, and Wentworth close by Windsor Castle and Royal Ascot Racecourse. But we're here for the golf, and a terrific field, an elite field of 12 players, 4 players seeded through to Friday's second round. This is the lineup for round 1: Elkington Stricker, Woosnam Montgomery in the All-European class, Mickelson Singh, and Serizara against Mark O'Meara. Conditions for Thursday's first round absolutely perfect. The course playing long, 6,957 yards, par 72. And Colin Montgomery up against Ian Woosnam in the All-European clash. And Woosnam looking for revenge on the man who pipped him to number 1 spot. But Montgomery is in touch with his putter. And that at the 13th hole, all square. And I'm joined in commentary by Ken Brown.
Mickelson at the 18th. An eagle 3 for him. After the first 18 against Vijay Singh, Singh just 1 up.
So at lunch on the first day, Steve Elkington 2 up on Steve Stricker, Colin Montgomery with a 1-hole advantage on Ian Woosnam, Vijay Singh, who was 5 up through 7, 1 up on Mickelson, and O'Meara 2 up on Serizara. And the afternoon's gone well for Colin Montgomery, 4 up at the 14th with 5 to play, and Ian Woosnam sadly not finding his touch with his putter.
Also struggling a little bit with his back, I think. Par 3 up the hill. You see they want to follow through, not quite managing to go through the ball properly. It's been a long season for Woosnam. It's been a brave battle of his to try and beat Montgomery to number 1 spot.
Monty would love to win this title, came very close 2 years ago when he lost in the final 4-2 to Ernie Ells. And a little bold with that one. A chance for Woosnam.
Course in absolutely beautiful condition this week. The greens are running very nearly 11 on the stint meter.
Well, that's the sort of day it's been for Ian Woosnam. But he would win the hole and go to 3 down with Colin Montgomery taking bogey 4.
At 18. He was 1 down, now 2 down. Mickelson, his tee shot at the par 3 up the hill, trying to cut it in at the back level, just over the tee, and that's an absolute beauty from the US number 1 money winner this year. $1.6 million in the cash bank already.
Ian Woosnam on the bunker left side of the fairway at 16. He's got to win this hole. 3 down. Running out of holes, and once again the hand comes off. Doesn't particularly like that one, and that's why short and left.
Montgomery out of the rough. That's the view he's got. Just a little 3/4 pitching wedge. Dormy 3 up, remember, and that could be the final nail in the coffin.
A little way behind, few problems for Mark O'Meara against Serizara. This to take the match 7-5. And O'Meara so impressive last week in America's winning the Alfred Dunhill Cup at St Andrews. Continues to play well, and now will meet Open champion Tom Lehman in the quarterfinals.
Another member of that team last week up at St Andrews, Phil Mickelson. He won the 14th, so he's just 1 down. This is 3rd to the par 4 15th. He showed us a marvellous array of pitches up at the old course last week, and he's doing it again this. They end up halving that hole, so Mickelson 1 down with 3 to play.
At the end, very close for Ian Woosnam, who's looking a little tired. It's been a long, hard season. 4 victories on the European Tour, but that really had to go in. And I'm sure there will be a concession. Indeed, there is. And Colin Montgomerie goes through by 4 and 2, and will now meet Mark Brooks, the US PGA champion.
Mickelson's found a few problems here off the tee at the 16th. Looks like he's going to have to play this one right-handed. He does everything right-handed except to play golf, so he might be able to extricate this one. But he should stand well back.
Pretty good contact, maybe just caught a branch or two. And Mickelson still 1 down. This is his 3rd shot at 18, and really this has to go in. Vijay Singh pin high just off the green to the left. Oh, well, in the hole and out. Perhaps the shot of the day. It will be a birdie 4. And Vijay Singh, who was winning comfortably over the early holes, has to hold this for a birdie of his own and to go through 1 up. Safely in, and the first shot of this year's tournament. Meanwhile, Steve Stricker turning the tables on last year's beaten finalist Steve Elkington, going through 3 and 2 with Montgomerie, Singh and O'Meara. On Friday, a 2-hour delay for heavy rain, but at the halfway stage, a real shock on the cards. Steve Stricker 6 up on the #1 seed, and defending champion Ernie Ells, Brooks, Singh and Lehman all ahead in their matches.
Halves at 1 and 2. This is the 3rd shot of Ells at the 3rd. Still 6 down, remember. And a glimmer of hope, so he moves back to 5 behind. And this would be some comeback if he could manage that.
And Colin Montgomerie on the short 2nd. All square against Mark Brooks, who's just bogeyed the first hole. That's a shot of real quality from Montgomerie. And he would be conceded the birdie and would go to 1 up. But Brooks' short game really tenacious all morning long. He's been snapping at the heels of Montgomerie, and at the 3rd he's at it again. Not a good drive, not a good second, but he's in for 3 and squaring the match again. Stricker, after 29 holes, just 2 up on Ernie Ells, the #1 seed, really fighting back now. Tom Lehman in control against O'Meara, and Singh likewise against Steve Jones.
For an eagle 3 at the shortish par 5, 483 yards.
And this is some comeback from Ernie Els, whose ambition at lunchtime was just to take the match onto the back 9. Colin Montgomerie and Mark Brooks still very close, all square. Monty at the 10, 186 yards, and there's a birdie 2. So success for Europe's #1, but he's having a real problem trying to shake off Mark Brooks, and Brooks has a putt for the half.
A little bit from right to left. He's got a lot of guts and courage, this man, as we saw at Valhalla at the US PGA.
Now Vijay Singh has steamrolled Steve Jones. The end is very close. 9 holes to play, and Vijay 8 to the good. Vijay very confident coming into the week, back with the short putter again. He experimented with a long handle putter for a while, and Steve Jones, who hasn't played that badly, simply overwhelmed.
Had that to stay in the match. A little bit crooked from tee to green, Steve Jones, and missed 1 or 2 putts, so Vijay Singh victorious on 9 and 8.
And Steve Stricker in danger of being swept away by this comeback from Ernie Els. He picked up the 12th. This is 2nd to 13, and now he's only 1 down, and a real chance to square this match.
He really found his form this afternoon. Up the hill a little bit from right to left, a slow putt. Very few, and he may live to regret that one.
Left and 4. Stricker is 1 up.
5 holes to play in there, Mr. and Mrs. Ells. Still can't separate Colin Montgomery and Mark Brooks, though. Here they are at the 12, 483 yards. A par 5, very reachable in 2.
If you're going to miss the fairway, the right side is the best side. Very damp at the front of this green. Montgomery flying it all the way to the flag. An absolutely classic 3-wood shot.
Ernie Els, second shot to 15, still 1 down. The 14th was halved. You can see Steve Stricker already played just off the front of the green.
170 yards, a little down the hill, 6 iron. And doesn't he make this game look so easy?
Montgomery for eagle at 12. Not quite simple birdie 4 though, but Brooks also making a 4. And once again, the hole halved.
This little putt to even the match. Stricker has got his 4. Yeah! 6 down with 16 to play. Now level with just 3.
This is the match between Tom Lehman and Mark O'Meara, and Lehman making the putts and almost there, 5 up, second to 13.
He's very receptive and just a light breeze about, so the iron shot's peppering the flag.
Just a wedge for Ernie Els into 16. Match all square, of course. And Ernie Els really stepping on the power. And there's very little Steve Stricker can do about this.
Lehman, our Open champion, playing like an Open champion.
Certainly is, and that's good enough to beat Mark O'Meara. 6 and 5, so Tom Lehman through to the semi-finals.
Brooks for a birdie 3 across the 15th. As Monty looks on, Mark Brooks takes a 1-hole advantage.
Colin Montgomery all week taking the driver off the 16th, rather surprisingly, but close to the hole. After his second, the gamble paying off. And Monty would make birdie, the match would be all square again. Steve Stricker against Ernie Els. They halved 16 and 17, but Stricker in trouble. This is his 3rd shot. It is second from the bunker into the face. Awkward stance, but possibly the shot of the second day. 3-wood and on to the green. All hands and arms, and still has a chance.
Ells in the perfect spot in the fairway though.
It's a long drive, slightly downhill lie, but just a long iron to put this into the centre of the green.
Really classy shot from Ernie Els under the severest of pressure.
And Mark Brooks conceding quite a bit of distance against Colin Montgomery, but his chipping and putting so good. It's his 3rd shot, and he will get the birdie to win the hole and will be 1 up going to the last. Now Ernie Els, this to win, what a comeback it would be. Oh, the crowd like it, but he's a little tentative. But it matters not. Steve Stricker, after that fantastic 3rd shot, couldn't convert for a birdie. And so Ernie Els with a fairly simple tap-in for a quite remarkable comeback. 6 down at the halfway stage. He's never been ahead in this match, but if you're only going to lead 1 time, then the 36th hole is the place to do it. The day after his birthday, The great escape for Ernie Ells, the defending champion, and still on course for a third win in a row.
Putt just wriggling in the side door, but what a remarkable comeback. Ever the sportsman. So Ells wins by 1 hole.
Well, the rain returning and dark and gloomy, and second shot for Montgomery at 18. He's 1 down. Very much doubt they can play extra holes. Should Monty get this one back?
I think he likes it. And that is another beautiful 3-wood shot. He hit a beauty into the 12th, the other par 5, and he sets up an eagle opportunity.
Once again, Mark Brooks not on the green in 2, but chipping well and has a chance for a birdie of his own. So Colin Montgomery knows that he has to make this for eagle.
Always a tricky green, this 18th. This a little bit up the hill, easy to leave short. And just as Ells did before him. But he's got his 4. So it's all down to Mark Brooks.
His short game has been hugely impressive all day long. Montgomery perhaps the better player on the day. But rather like Gary Player, Mark Brooks has come through in match play. And the US PGA champion goes through by just 1 hole. So Ernie Ells, winner by 1 against Stricker. Brooks likewise against Montgomery. Easy for Vijay Singh and Tom Lehman. Welcome back. The story of the 1996 Toyota World Match Play Championships moves on to Saturday and the semi-finals. Ernie Ells, number 1 seed defending champion, against Mark Brooks, and Vijay Singh, the only unseeded player to survive Friday, up against the number 2 seed Tom Lehman. And if Ernie was struggling on Friday morning, it's a different story 24 hours later. The 17th, his 3rd shot at the long par 5, that conceded for a birdie. But Brooks also conceded a birdie 4, and Ernie Ells 5 up. A miserable morning for Mark Brooks. Hasn't won a single hole. Misses his birdie chance at 18. So the situation at lunch, Ernie Ells 6 up on Mark Brooks. It's a lot tighter in the second game. Vijay Singh and Tom Lehman all square.
Ells has parred his first 7 holes and has moved now to 8 up. Brooks struggling with his game, pushing a lot of shots out to the right.
The record winning margin, Tom Watson beating Dale Hayes 11 and 9. There was a chance for Ells to go into the record books, but I think respect for his opponent, and he's just eased up a little. But not much going right for Mark Brooks. Hasn't found that short game that caused Colin Montgomery so much trouble a day ago.
No weaknesses in this man's game. A lovely touch on the greens. Yeah, super sound off the putter face. Again, beautifully judged. So Brooks has got a chance, and he's needing to take a few if he's got any possibility of taking this match too much further.
Well, they aim probably respectability, and to just win a hole would be nice. Hasn't managed it yet. Lost the first 2 after lunch, so it was quickly 8 down, and since then it's been halves all the way, and halves will do for Ernie Ells. It's Brooks who has to make the move.
To say he's had a few that have gone very close to the edge. Lehman at the 7th for a birdie, and he moves to 1 up.
9th hole, long par 4, out of bounds down the left, one of 3 longish 4s on the front 9, and Mark Brooks short on power, having to go with the fairway wood.
A high sliding cut and the pin right in the front of the green. That's a marvellous 3-wood shot.
Well, he's still in there fighting, but you can see the difference in length off the tee, and just an iron for Ernie Els, even though he's coming out of the rough.
Unfortunate with his tee shot, hit the crowd and didn't go as far right as perhaps it might have deserved. Another iron shot, magnificently played, just cutting into the flag.
Well, turning the screw now, Mark Brooks must have felt he had a chance of making that win. A wry grin from Ernie Els. Such a modest, likeable character. And that rolls past, but conceded. Els 9 up and has the opportunity to be generous with his concessions. Seated a 6-foot putt for half at the 3rd a little earlier, but here is tee shot at the 10th and very nearly into the final.
182 yards, a 5-iron. Almost exactly where he would have been aiming. The pin cut tight to the right, and there's a big bank to the right of the flag, so playing the percentage shot.
One of only 2 players to win on his debut, so very close to 8 wins out of 8 matches.
Well, Brooks knows what he's got to do. He has to hole that putt.
I suspect he also knows that it's mission impossible. Has to go in. Again, a brave effort. Maybe he's better off saving that kind of putt for a day when it really matters. Ernie Els with 2 to win. On its way, just lagging up towards the hole, and there's a bonus for Els. Salt into the wound for poor Mark Brooks. 10 and 8. He can't go home. He has the 3rd place final to contemplate now. But Ernie Els into the final. Who will he play? Tom Lehman 1 up on Vijay Singh. Tee shot 14.
Lehman's iron play over the last 3 or 4 seasons has been quite marvellous. Time and time again he's peppered the flag. So Singh under a bit of pressure here. 5-iron. Very graceful looking action.
Mixed fortunes really for Vijay Singh, taken all the way by Phil Mickelson, then a comfortable winner over Steve Jones, and once again in a battle, this time with Tom Lehman. This for birdie from the back of 14.
He's done it. So the pressure right back on Tom Lehman. Not an easy bit of green to read up here. It looks very flat, but actually does slope a little bit from right to left. Got the over 40s finger there on the right hand.
This to halve the hole, all square. They would go on to half 15 as well. Second semi-final, all square. Vijay Singh from the middle of the 16th, second shot.
Starting it right, is it coming back? Distance absolutely perfect, but under these sort of circumstances in match play, obviously a little bit disappointing. And Lehman in the ideal spot. And I've got a funny feeling this won't be too far away.
No advantage, Lehman. This one going right down the wire. Difficult to pick a winner. Ernie Ells awaiting.
Singh, who changed from the long putter to this one a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas. Despite missing that one, has putted very, very consistently over the first 2 days.
So the par conceded. Lehman with a putt of about 6 feet for birdie and the win. And he said against O'Meara his putting was almost of the same class as on round 3 of the Open at Lytton St Anne's. And that's a crucial blow.
Well, they halved the 17th. Lehman on the front of the 18th green, the par 5 in 2. A little unfortunate, the ball stopping very, very quickly. So he's got this long eagle putt, and this will definitely win the match. But it's a toughie.
Starts to turn from the right and pick up pace. Vijay Singh, pin high, just off the green, below the hole. And still quite a bit for Lehman to do.
Singh for his eagle 3, this to take it into extra holes. A putter from off the green. Oh, just bobbling in there, inevitably coming up short. So tense moments.
This then for birdie for Lehman. Oh, no, 3 putts at just the wrong time. So a short one for Singh to take the match down the 37th. Never really in doubt. There's never been much between these two players all the way round. And here they go, back to the first.
A long par 4, 471 yards, just in the light rough down the left. A good angle to get at the flag from. Oh, you have to say a little unfortunate. Same as the 18th, the ball stopping very quickly. More often than not, it would run up from there.
Awkward life for Vijay Singh. Longer off the tee. Not necessarily that much of an advantage, but he's got through that very well. Oh, and that's a marvellous shot.
Getting that little bounce on that Tom Lehman was expecting.
Expected that maybe to drop a little more.
Now after a long, long look at this one. A little down the hill. A good 4-inch swing from right to left. And this to take the match.
Oh, just enough. He's got it. Unseeded Vijay Singh is through to the final. He beats Tom Lehman at the 37th. An epic encounter. Ernie Ells in cruise control into his 3rd successive final, where he'll meet Vijay Singh, and that's next. Welcome back to the final of the Toyota World Match Play Championship. 36 holes between Ernie Ells and Vijay Singh, and in the afternoon 18 holes between Tom Lehman and Mark Brooks for 3rd place. In the morning, unseeded Vijay won the 2nd and the 3rd, but Ernie hit back with wins at 4 and 5, and at the 11th the Fijian is 2 down but not for long. He cuts the deficit to 1, but fails to cash in at 12. Ells escapes with a half, and they halve 13, and this is Ells' 2nd shot at 14 with Vijay in trouble, and the South African 2 up with 4 holes to play in the morning round.
They halve 15 and 16 with pars. Now the treacherous tee shot of the par 5 17th. Ernie Ells.
Trouble up the left-hand side. This is a brave line. Oh, and strikes one of the observers, Michael London, back into the fairway. Maybe in 30-40 yards further on. Only more concerned that the official is not too injured. And he seems to be surviving. They make him tough around these parts. But the hole halved in par 5.
At the 18th, an eagle 3 effort to Vijay Singh. Just slides by. Got a 4 good enough. Singh around in 71 to Ernie Ells 70.
At the halfway stage, Ernie Ells, the defending champion, one up on Vijay Singh. But in heavy rain, Vijay wasting no time in squaring the match. This for a winning par at the first.
Big wins the hole in 4.
The second and third halved in par, but the fourth going to Ernie Ells after Singh in trouble from the tee.
A few problems for Ells at the 5th. A little chip and run at the par 3. Down a little rise and judged to perfection. And they halve that one in par 3s.
So after 5 holes of the afternoon round, Ernie Ells still one up. And it's still very close. 2 powerful hitters.
The second shot to the par 4 6th, 356 yards. Just a short arm, but the pin cut right tight to the front. 6 on and 3 from the left. Ells has left himself an uphill birdie putt from there.
Now Vijay, 4th appearance in the World Match Play, 1st appearance in the final. He's got 130 yards to the pin.
Trying to work the ball in from right to left. A little unfortunate that didn't draw back a little bit more. Green's very receptive with the rains, and 1 or 2 puddles forming in places.
Yes, it really has been torrential pretty well since the lunch break. It's quite pleasant this morning. And Vijay for his birdie at 6. Greens perhaps a little slower. They have been up around 11 on the stimp meter. That one conceded, and a chance for Ernie Ells to double his lead, to go 2 up if he makes this putt.
Here she goes. Ricky Roberts looking a little bit anxious, his caddy.
Ells 2 up.
Mike Stewart, the announcer there, one of our tour officials. So Ells 2 up as they move to the 7th, and a few problems for Vijay. A little fortunate to find this area, trodden down by the crowd. 188 yards. 4 iron.
Shot Vijay.
It's a 2-tier green. Maybe thought that a fraction heavy. It was so close to being very good, but spinning back off that tier, and a long putt left. So close for Vijay. Mind you, he was a little fortunate to have a shot. Ernie Ells from the perfect position.
7 iron. The pin just 6 up the little ridge, and it's a steep one. Oh, that just needed another half yard.
He was annoyed with himself this morning when he could only make pars at 17 and 18. And he'd be equally as upset at that shot.
A very severe tear, this one. That is beautifully judged. A little bit of moisture on the lower half of this green, making judgment of distance that little bit more difficult.
The caddies having to work hard. There you get a better view of the rise from the bottom of the green to the top tier. Quite a swing as well. That's a poor effort from Vijay.
Ball for Scully's caddy, keeping player and ball dry before he hits it. Just inside right, this one.
Oh, just rushes the hole and opens the door for Ernie Els. There's never been more than 2 holes in this match at any time. But Ernie Els has the chance to make a perhaps decisive break. This to go 3 up. He makes those 6-footers look like tap-ins. And you get the feeling Ernie Els always has a little bit in reserve when he needs it. On to the 8th, the only hole that features a water hazard on this West course.
Ball a little above his feet, going slightly down the shaft.
See water appearing on the green for the first time, casual water. Plenty of greenkeepers with this final, so I'm sure the squeegees will be out. Now is Ernie blocked out by the branches, hit a long tee shot. No, he's okay.
Sitting up to the right there, 8-iron. Just trying to draw the ball in. Soft puddle and getting the ball to stop very quickly.
2 tournaments a year on this West course, the Volvo Pga Championship at the beginning of the summer. Conditions are a lot different this time around, the course playing much longer. Now VJ has got to start making 1 or 2 of these putts, and again he's shy. Well, perhaps a generous concession.
Everything that Ells does is very elegant and classic, and that includes his putting. Very conventional looking style.
Oh, that's 3 wins in a row for Ernie Els. He's won 4 of the last 5 holes, 4 up. It's going to be very tough for Vijay Singh now. Move across to the 9th. Both tee shots in good shape. Ernie Els first to play, 183 yards to the pin.
Pin cut over the left-hand bunker. Sounded a nice contact. Magnificent shot, right down the flag. Lovely upright action of his, gets the ball to stop so quickly with his long irons.
Well, just what VJ didn't want to see when he was 4 down. That's not a bad reply. Oh, right over the pin as well. 2 fantastic shots. And against anybody else, Vijay Singh might be fancying he would have this for the win, but he's already conceded Ernie Els' putt, and this is for the half.
I would say an absolute must. Beautiful putt, beautiful greens. So remains a 4 down.
Ells remains 4 up.
Hole halved in birdie 3, and at the 10th, hole halved in par 3. Els still 4 up, going to the 11th.
Often in a stroke play tournament, players favouring a 3-wood. Match play far more attacking, and Els with the driver. The pin cut in its normal Sunday position on this green, very front left, and the green that slopes a lot from back to front. Important to find the fairway from the tee so you can spin your second.
VJ still up against it. He's won all around the world, but he's never won in Britain, and he's still looking for his first win of 1996. You can see the fairways much narrower than the members would find them. They've grown the rough in for this World Match Play Championship.
Yeah, certainly the 12th a lot narrower, and 16 and 17. Just coming out of that wet rough and make control a little bit more difficult. Skidding on the first bounce and not really getting the spin that he would have liked.
Chance then maybe for VJ. Has to get holes back soon. Running out of holes. Birdied this one in the morning. To the size of that divot. T-bone stake divot. Plenty of action. And a certain 3.
This for a half. Pretty fast and left to right. Never really on line.
So there's a glimmer of hope for VJ Singh, but Ernie Ells still very much the favourite. With 7 holes to play, he's still 3 up. Welcome back to a rather soggy West course at Wentworth, where the final of the 1996 Toyota World Match Play Championship is reaching its climax. Ernie Ells, 3 up with 7 to play, but in trouble at the 12th. This is 3rd, clattered his 2nd into the trees.
Out of bounds over there, but that's a pretty good recovery from there. Both players are driven in the right-hand rough. VJ Singh catching his a little bit heavier second shot and come a bit shy, but an opportunity.
And it's a chance that he has to take. Just won the 11th. Has to get some momentum coming through these closing holes. Has to put the pressure on Ernie Ells.
Oh, such a difficult pitch from the front of this green with a flag at the front. Little bank to go up and got a little bit of a soggy first bounce.
Well, the tables might turn completely. This for birdie for Ernie Ells. He's not played this hole particularly well today. And that will be good enough for par.
And a real opportunity here for VJ Singh. Up the hill, not much break in it. And this to bring the deficit to just 2.
The chance gone. An escape for Ells. So now 6 holes to play and Ernie Ells still 3 up. And he's hit a pretty good tee shot at 13. Uphill dogleg from right to left.
One of the hardest tee shots on the back 9, and Ells from the perfect spot. That seemed to pick up a little bit of mud as it landed.
Indeed, you're right, and VJ has to get this close.
One or two of the pins really tucked away. Ronan Rafferty's been advising this week with the tour official Mike Stewart, so one or two very testy pins, difficult to get close to. Now Singh down the hill. A little bit of moisture there. Always difficult to judge when there's one or two areas where there's just a little bit of casual water line.
And it's affected VJ. Have to chip short at 12, and that putt. This one down the hill for Ernie Ells. In fact, the mud may help to slow the ball down. Just needs to set it on his way. Going with the putter.
Scotty Cameron, as he picked up just 5 minutes before he went on the tee at the Buick Classic, and he won that tournament by 8, and he's been using it ever since to great effect.
Well, no chance at this hole for Ronan Rafferty, who's been liaising on behalf of the players with tournament officials to set the pin. They've had to move it because of the water.
Yes, it was on the right-hand side of the green. Now on the left. You can see no paint around the cup there. And I hope they told Vijay Singh on the tee it had been moved.
Sure they did. I hope they did, because you can't see the bottom of the pin from the tee. Quite a steep slope. Wonderful shot from Ernie in this Harry S. Colt design course, standing the test of time. He was the first non-professional golfer to be acknowledged as a world-class designer, and it's one of his masterpieces.
Up a little tier gives you an idea of the slope at the 14th, and very well judged.
But Ernie has a putt to go 4 up with 4 to play. Hale Irwin almost won 3 in a row. He was 2 up with 4 to play against David Graham, but lost at the second extra hole. Well, I may be asked to putt that. The list of former winners: Ian Woosnam, twice a winner, going out in the first round. Seve winning 5 times in all. But Ernie Els the last 2 years, and poised to become the first man to win 3 in a row.
An absolutely perfect spot down the 15th fairway.
And again, this pin has been moved to a drier part of the green. Was back left this morning. .185 yards, a 5-iron. Just trying to cut it into the slope. And just squaring the face up during impact, and got it absolutely stick high. Probably slightly the easier of the 2 putts because it is up the hill. They're the people who've won 2 in a row before: Gary Player, Hale Irwin, who was so close, Seve, and Ernie Els. Again, he's shortened, becoming a bit of a habit now. Well, Ernie Els won at the 16th against Colin Montgomery, at the 17th against Steve Elkington, but he's got this putt to win at the 15th against Vijay Singh. This for 4 and 3. Well, still might be good enough. It's certainly on the verge, and Vijay's got an awkward putt for the half and to take the match to the 34th.
Straight up the hill, and bravely done.
Well, there's the prize money. First place £170,000 and second £90,000, but not just about money. This is a prestigious tournament and one all the players want to win. Singh with the driver, got the gamble at this stage. Just misses the fairway, but that's okay. Really needs to finish 3-4-4 to have any chance.
It's always possible here at Wentworth, and Ells for the first time this week, safety first, an iron from the tee, brings the bunker into the play. The fairway only 13 yards wide there. And avoids the trap.
Well, meanwhile, the third, fourth place playoff about to reach a conclusion. It's all square. Tom Lehman to halve the 18th, and he misses. And Mark Brooks, after his misery on Saturday, a happy ending, and he wins £60,000 and third place.
I wonder if Ernie will play another percentage shot to the middle of the green. Pin cut tight right. Stormy 3 up.
The percentage shot again. Two players have dominated this tournament, Gary Player and Severiano Ballesteros, each with 5 wins, and Sevi with 9 wins in a row. That's a record, but Ernie Ells will equal it if he wins this match.
In the right rough and the pin right, difficult to get at the flag. Just a pitching wedge though. Absolute beauty. He won't be able to tell how close that is. And he's still keeping the match going.
But here for the second time, a putt for Ernie Ells to win his 3rd World Match Play title. It's got a little chance if it's got the legs. So there is the opportunity for VJ to take the match down the 35th.
And I was only too aware all sorts of things can happen on those final 2 par 5s. He would definitely like to have finished it off here.
Not the easiest of greens to read, and at least he gets that one up to the hole, but only a par. Now Ernie Ells for 3 in a row in '94. It was Colin Montgomery beaten 4 and 2. Last year Steve Elkington beaten 3 and 1, and in 1996 it's VJ Singh who's beaten 3 and 2, and for the 3rd year in a row Ernie Ells is the winner of the Toyota World Match Play Championship, and he makes golfing history.
6 down with 16 to play against Steve Stricker, beat him 1 up. Then Mark Brooks, he gave him a really good hammering, 10 and 8.
And then in the final 3 and 2 against VJ Singh. Well, the first winner was Arnold Palmer way back in 1964, and Mark McCormack's vision for a World Match Play Championship certainly has stood the test of time. Ernie Ells, though, the first man to win 3 in a row.
There's nothing better than seeing Ernest Theodore Ells in full flight. His iron shots were magic.
Short game wasn't too bad either. Always celebrates his birthday, it seems, these days by winning the Toyota World Match Play Championship. He'll be back next year trying to make it 4.